just listen to me. Do well to listen to me. I'll stop your video. You can watch me. You be the one seeing me. So, all right. So here is the instructor. I'm the instructor, and in today's class we will be talking about hosting and domain. Hosting and domain. Let's start with this. Basically, the first thing you'll be needing, if you want to create a website, is what we call hosting and domain. And hosting is very important, like very important. There is no how you want to create a website that people can be able to access all over the world without you having your hosting and your domain. Is that taking? You need to have a hosting and also have a domain. Excuse me. So we need to have a hosting and also have a domain. Okay. So another thing is that after getting the hosting and domain, that's when you can proceed in developing your website just the way you want. And the reason for this is because so that we can have a way of putting our web pages on the online server. Now we have what we call a local server and online server. So our web pages will be on the online server. So when people all over the world check our site, they'll be able to have access to it. So don't worry, these things I'm saying, you'll get to understand them as time goes on. So some of us, they are new. Some of us, this is the first time we're hearing them. So don't be in hurry of being bothered like, I don't still understand what this guy is saying. So with time, by the time we finish this class, you get to know that, wow, your knowledge will change from what it used to be to something better regard this aspect. So now, what is domain? Let's start with that. What is domain? See, domain is the address of your website that people type in the browser address. Domain is the browser address bar. It is the address of a website. Now, what does it simply mean? Now, for an example, let me use something you are very used to. Something that you've been seeing every day. You know, every house has an address. Like if you want to pay me a visit now, the first thing you do, you will ask me, where is my address? Same thing if I want to pay you a visit, the first thing you will ask me is, where is my address, right? So with the help of me giving you my address, or with the help of you giving me your address, I'll be able to locate where you stay. Okay, so this is how a domain name is. So a domain is that your website address. So with the help of your domain name, people can be able to search your website. They can be able to trace your website. They can be able to go into your website. That is how. So without every website without a domain is a site that people cannot access. Nobody will be able to access it. That's just the truth. Nobody will be able to access that kind of website. Everybody that comes will be like, what is happening here? You get it now? So that is how it is. So another one there is that, what as an example of website, a domain. An example of a domain is something like, you see something like google.com. You see something like google.com is a domain. You see facebook.com. You see something like ogtech.edu.com.ng. Those things are called what? Domain. They are called domain name. Now, every student that want to register on ogtech as a student, I want to buy ogtech, probably you want to pay for school fees, you want to pay for any fee at all, you want to register, you want to buy form, such students must make use of that domain, which is called ogtech at what? .edu.ng. So that ogtech.edu.ng is the name, is that thing alone is what we call domain name. So it is human readable representation of the website IP. Now, normally there's what we call let me show you this. IP address. Is what we call IP address. Now, IP address, every system has an IP address. The full meaning of IP is called Internet Protocol. Every laptop, every system, your system has an IP address. So every website has a web IP address, but your domain is the human readable IP address. Like, how does an IP address look like? You see something like this. I'm trying to search out an example just to show you. Okay, I think I've seen something too. Okay, let me use this one. I'll just send here. Now, if you look at, I don't know if you are seeing what I'm doing here. Okay, now this is my screen here. I'm trying to show you something. Now look at this kind of, just take an example of this. What is IP address? The full meaning of that IP means Internet Protocol. You get it now? So this thing you see, 17.172.224.47, this is an address of every domain name. Every domain of a website has an IP address, but you cannot just be telling you're telling people that, okay, my IP address is 171.172.224. It sounds boring. Now, what the domain name does is that domain name is, but it is easier for you to say, my domain name, my website name is omolara.com. It's easier for you to say my website name is daniel.com. You could say that is human readable compared to these figures here. These figures are looking somehow very difficult for people to even memorize. You get it now? So that name called domain name, it's like is the one interfacing with humans, is interfacing with users. People who want to use it. Instead for them to be seeing these figures, they will be using your name. So, but behind the scene that nobody is seeing, once anybody check your website and check your website and say something like, let's say something like you see facebook.com. Now, this facebook.com you check, you are seeing facebook.com, but the truth here is that you are seeing facebook.com. You get it now, but other people are not saying facebook.com. So we say ogtech.edu.ng. You get it now. You are the one that is saying ogtech.edu.ng, but behind the scene, what is being the signal your domain is transferring is signaling to this is what we call web server. I will explain that, don't worry. When we get to web server, the signal your domain name is sending to web server is not ogtech.edu.ng. What is sending is your IP address. So on the web server did not know your website name as domain name. You know it as IP address, which is Internet Protocol. That is how this thing works. You get it now? So a lot of us, we just see all these things are functioning. We don't really have a proper understanding of how all this thing works. Is that taking? So another one here is let's leave here. Let's leave here. Let's leave here. Okay. Let's go and talk about. All right. So another one here is subdomain. What is subdomain? Now, you know, we all did in our secondary school. We did we did mathematics, and in mathematics we did what we call sets, and we say sets are combination of related items. I'm talking about mathematical terms now. In that same set is what we call subset. If I say I am your subset. I'm a subset to you. What that simply means is that I am your junior. You get it now? That means my age can be found in your age, and more age is still remaining. So if I say you are a subset to me, it simply means that you are my junior. So when I use the word subdomain, it simply means that a domain that has been created out from a bigger domain. Get it well. Like for an example now, if we say google.com, google.com is a domain on its own. But when you now have something like drive.google.com, it's no more a domain, is now a what? Subdomain. How do you know all these things is this? And that's why I gave you an example. I said from this place, I said a subdomain is a part of a larger domain. Get that where a subdomain is a part of a larger what? A larger domain is a part of a larger domain and can be used to organize and navigate to different section or function of a website. You get it now? It adds to the beginning of, look at it, it's added to the beginning of the main domain and separated by a point. Sorry, that's a mistake. By a point. Is separated by a point. As a full stop, dot, point or dot. I could use this dot, it's okay. Please mute your mic. Mute your mic, please. Let me mute it for you. So it's added to the beginning of the. When we talk about subdomain are always like this. So what you're seeing here now is a subdomain. So if I take this drive.google.com, I copy it now, and I now go to, let me go and put it inside. Let me put it on my browser. You see what will happen now. If I paste it now, you can see this is drive.google.com, right? I want to put just google.com. See what it will give us. Now this is google.com. This is google.com. Take note of this. This is google.com. Now this google.com is called a domain. This thing you see here, google.com alone, is called a domain. But if I say, if I'm not referring to as Google, if I'm referring to a subdomain, that means a domain that is inside a bigger domain. What it implies is that if I enter a subdomain now, I will say drive.google.com. Enter it now, see what it will give us. You see it now. There are two different things now. Under this, all these things you see here are my own files under my Google Drive. You get it now. So to tell you that every subdomain is a smaller what domain. Every subdomain is a smaller domain. You can stop your video. Every subdomain is a smaller domain. Okay, so take note of that. Is very, very important. Now the reason why we have to, you need to take note of this is because as time goes on in this class, I'm going to be using all these terms, so you need to get yourself acquainted with all these names. So when I mentioned okay, create a subdomain, if I say create a page, if I say create a subdomain, if I say create this or that, you get it now. You should be able to understand what exactly I am asking you to do. Okay, so that is for that. So another one here is hope you can hear me. I think the network is interrupting. Can you hear me? Please unmute yourself if you can hear me. Unmute yourself.
I can hear you.
Okay. Then mute. Justice John, you're welcome. My boss. I salute. So that is for that. So let's continue the class. Let's continue. Don't forget this, we are using free Zoom package. So in the next 40 minutes, after 40 minutes we end, then we have to start it again. You understand that Zoom is 40 minutes for the free package. So let's continue where we stopped. So I believe you'll be able to understand what a subdomain and what a domain means they are alike. It's just as a mother and a what a child. The mother has inside the mother you can find the age of a child. You get it now? Of course, the mother is older than the child because it is the mother that gave birth to the child. So that is for that. So next one we have on our slide is a domain extension. Now, many of us have seen these things I've been saying. All these things I've been saying. You've seen many of us have seen them, but we are not since it's not something that we deal with. We don't really know that these things are things that are very simple. Honestly speaking, we don't know that these things are things that are simple. We actually felt um, we actually felt oh, sorry. So we actually felt it's something very difficult. It is not difficult at all. So let's talk about domain extension. Now, you've been saying something like google.com. Now, anything when we say domain extension, a domain extension, also known as top level domain, which is TLD, is the last part of a domain name such as .com. So all those things you are seeing .com, .org, .net, .gov, they are all called domain extension. They are all called what? Domain extension. They are called domain extension. Now, with the help of domain extension, you'll be able to tell where that website or where the business is, the country that business is located at, or you'll be able to tell the type of organization that owns that business. So if I look at if I see a domain extension now, I should be without you telling me more about that business. Once I see the domain extension, I will be able to tell you that this business has to do with this business is a church, is an organization, a church organization, or it's something that is about tech. So each of those domain extension means something. They are not just there and they mean something, and their prices are not the same. Please follow me. This thing is very important. These are the basis of web development. Understanding all these things, if you fail to understand these things, how would you then be able to understand when we go deeper into this class? Okay, so the next one here is if I have .com now, for example. .com means commercial website. It means business that is into it means a commercial business. The next one there is org. ORG simply means justice, please mute. ORG, I think the next thing I will do is that when I come, the next class we'll be having, I will have to mute everybody. So once you are entering, you will find out you are muted and you won't be able to do it until we are done doing question and answering session. We'll be able to I will unmute people. You get it now? So to avoid distraction. So the next one here is .org. You will see, go and study churches. The website of churches are always .com or .org. All churches are always .org, and not only churches, organizations, any organization at all, maybe non-profit organization, they are always what? .org. Like for an example, now there is this company, there's an organization, I built a site for them, and this is let me show you something. Where is that okay, there's it here. Let me show you. I built a site for this organization and stand up. So I built this site for them. It's loading. Now, if you look at the domain extension, very well. What would you see? You will see .standupforwomen.org. Standupforwomen.org. It simply means that this is an organization. This is a women. If you look at it, welcome to Stand Up for Women. This organization is all about women. Men is not part of this organization, so it's a non-governmental or non-profit organization. So in this kind of case now, you don't use .com These are things as a web developer you must know. So when your client is trying to ask you what type of domain should we go for, what type of extension should we go for, you should be able to educate them. You should be able to give them that lecture on that, so that you'll be able to counsel them and tell them, okay, this is what we are going for here. With that, they will be able to know that you really know what you are doing. Is that taken compared to when you are just telling them things at random? To them, they will look as if, I think this guy did not really know what he's doing. Okay, so that is for that. So let's continue our. So when we have something .net, what does .net mean? .net, people who use .net are companies like tech companies. They use .net. All those tech firms, they use .net. You have something like .gov. .gov are things like governmental website. Go and check every state or government website is always .gov. Okay, and the next one is .edu. This .edu is an institutional website. So any educational institution's website must always have the domain extension as .edu. Okay, so take note of that. So based on the type of what that organization is into, that is what the type of extension you are to go for. And these extensions are not all the same price. Take note. I think I should show you something. But let me show you something. Now this thing we call domain. You will always purchase a domain in a company, in an hosting company. Let me show you one. For me now, I use Whogohost as my hosting company. Whogohost has always been my company when it comes to hosting a website. So I've been using Whogohost for quite some time now, and I really understand them better. So let me say Whogohost, whogohost.com. Now, so this is Whogohost here. Now I want to, everything we have been saying so far, I want us to practice it raw now. Look up. Now, if I come here now, I want to check. We have domain. I told you, let me recap. Domain, for those of us who just joined, domain simply means your website address. Now, just the way your house has an address, so is a domain. Your website must have an address. Is that taken? And your address in a community, in a state, can never be the same. There must always be something that makes it different from. So if you have a particular address in a community, two type of address in a community, one type of address in a community, like two different places bearing the same address, go and check it where there is something that differentiates them. Because if the address are the same, there will be complication. In fact, such address cannot be registered. Is that taken? So same is your domain. A domain that has been registered cannot be seen. So let's say, for an example, if we check facebook.com, if you want to buy a domain now, this is what you do. If you want to buy a domain, this is what you do. The first thing you do is to come and check first. Check for the domain, if the domain is available. So the facebook.com So after you've entered this, you hit on this search button here, then wait and see the response. Now let's see the response of this. It's Facebook. You can see now facebook.com is unavailable. This is telling you that, remember, facebook.com can never be available. You know why? Reason because Facebook themselves have purchased this domain name and the extension. So, but if you look down here, you will see .com unavailable, .online unavailable, but .org. That means there is a business that is called facebook.org. Now, anyone you see that is not available here, it simply means somebody has purchased it. You can see now unavailable. So if we scroll down, let's scroll down and see if there is anyone that is available. You can see unavailable. Now, the one that is available are these ones. Let me move this. See the ones that are available. So if you see Facebook games.tech is available, you can see Facebook hosting.tech is available, and these are the prices. So this is what you do first when you come to buy a domain. Now let's check for another one now. Now based on that organization I'm working for and build a site for, let's check their own. Stand up for women. Stand up for women. Let's see .org. Let's see if it will be available. You will see it yourself. Stand up for women. You can see standupforwomen.org is not available. Reason because that organization has bought it. But if you want that same name but different, you can always have the same domain name but different domain extension. So I can do stand up for women .online is available. I can do .ng is available. I can do .africa is available. I can do .store is available. You get it now. So but this .org and .com, see it here, is not available. So this is your website address. So if you want to buy domain in any domain, any hosting company, this is the first thing you need to do. I think this is also applicable to when you want to register your business under CEC. The first thing to do is to first and foremost go and check if that your business name is available. Peradventure somebody might have used it. So that's the first thing you do. Once it's available, that's when you can now check and proceed to the next step. Now, if it's not available, they might ask you to, okay, this one is not available. Can you add a little thing to make it different? Now, if I come here and say stand up for women, and I put something like now, stand up for women now. You can see it now. Our meeting have 10 minutes more. 10 minutes more, they've told me 10 minutes more, we'll be ending this minute. Then I will create another one and send the link. You get it now. So standupforwomen.org, standupforwomennow.org. Let's see if it's available now. You can see it now. The reason why this is available is because I put stand up for women now.org. That 3 letters make it different. So you can see that in an address, when we talk about address, it could be the number of your house will make it different from the normal address. You get it now. So anything at all that makes it different, it's something. Don't neglect that. So is that taking? So this is Whogohost. This is a hosting company. I'll still talk about that. There's another one, Namecheap. Okay, look at them here. Now this is Namecheap. Namecheap again, you can see now when you come to their platform, the first thing you will see here, register a domain name to start. You will check for that domain name. If I still check for Facebook, now the same thing. Everywhere in the world, once you are checking it on a hosting company, they will still tell you that it's not available, because this thing is not something that has to do with your country alone. It's something that is on an online server. So once it's an online server, it means it's all over the world. So you can see it's not available. So that is for that for you. Okay, let's leave here and talk on other things, and we move to the next thing. So if I want to talk extensively about that, when we get to how to buy a domain and domain and hosting, I'll be talking about that. So, but let's leave that for now. So back to where we stop, domain extension. I think we've talked about all this. Now let's look at how web hosting work. Before I go to that web hosting, we've talked about domain. Okay, now let's talk about hosting. What does hosting mean? Hosting is very simple. This is it here. Hosting simply means you buying a space on the internet. Take for an example, you want to build a house. The first thing that should come to your mind as a reasonable human being is to buy a land. That is just how hosting is. And the portion of land, the size of your land will determine the house, the size or how big the house you're going to build on it You can't buy half plot of land and you want to build a house that is as long, the length and the breadth is as two plot of land. Please, how would that work? It can't work. So that is how hosting is. Hosting is a place on online server. You buy a space where your site can be placed. Once your site is placed there, people can use the domain to search it. When they use that domain name, your domain name, and search it on any web browser at all, they will be able to see it all over anywhere at all they are in the world. It doesn't matter whether they are in Nigeria. If you like, you be in Nigeria and somebody in abroad, somebody in the Western world is checking your site. Once you have a hosting, your hosting is active and your domain is also active, then when they check you, they will definitely see you. That's how this thing works. You get it now? But if you did not host, you just only build a site, you didn't host it. What happened is that you are making use of what we call local host. Local host simply means that you did not, that website can only be accessible using your own system. That means you are the only one. Only you can have access to that site. Only you. And you can have access to it using your own laptop. Once you check it on your laptop, you can see it. Let me show you a practical example of what I mean. Now, there are some software that I've built since last year. I built different software last year, like different software last year. And let me show you. Let me show you part of it. Okay, this is it here. Now, this thing you see here, this thing you see here is called XAMPP, and this is a practical example of a local server. Now, with the help of this thing, XAMPP control panel, I can be able to power the software because I did not host the software on the internet. I didn't host it on the online server. I only hosted it on a local server, and the local server only gives me the chances of me accessing the site on my system. So let's say, for an example, somebody else want to check the site or the software on my system. They can't be able to check it because I did not host it online. They have to come down to my system and come and check it by themselves, or I copy the file of the software and send it to that person. But if I have hosted it, I don't have to copy the file and send it. The only thing I just need to do is to just send the domain name, which is the address of the software, to the person. The person will just check it on the browser, internet, and we see it. You can see what hosting does for us. So if I start this now, I also start this, then I can go on the internet. I can go on this place. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Let me check. Open on this. I can go on this place. Now, let me remove this. I want to show you, because of the help of that local server. So I'm going to type localhost. So look at this now. If you look at it, localhost /SMS. Now the SMS there simply means school management system. Now this is a software I built. Now, this software is not being hosted. I didn't host it. You get it? Now, this is a school management system software. I didn't host it. I only hosted it locally on my system. So, I'm the only one that has access to it. As it is now, I can sell it. But once I see a buyer now, the next thing that happens is that I will host it for them. Then people all over the world will be able to have access to it. And there are so many like that. I have another one, hotel. One is based on hotel, is stuff on hotel. This one I want to show you is another one. Hold on, it's loading. Now, this is a software. Now, hotel management system. I built this one last year. Okay, all these ones are projects for students who did projects. Okay, they've defended it, and as it is now, I can decide to sell this software, and it's working. So the only thing is that when anyone that buys it now, I have to host it for them, and they will pay for it. I'm not the one to host it with my money. So that is just for that. I believe you've gotten what local host and online hosting. Local server and online server means. So it's not something difficult. Okay. So get ready for this Zoom is going to be ending anytime from now. We have less than 2 minutes, and then I will create another one and send it to the platform. So you just copy, you just join using the link. So let's continue. So I'm just telling you for you to get ready. It can end anytime from now. So you've understood what hosting means. Then let's move to how web hosting works. This is where we stop for today. How does web? You see, web hosting. This question will answer so many questions that have been in your mind. How is this thing working? I just go on the internet. Right. Okay, Angel. So where did we stop? We stop at this place. We stop at how web hosting work. So this is where we stopped in the previous previous. Please, can you just mute yourself and stop your video, Angel? And if you can hear me, let me know, please.
Yeah, everything.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So you can mute yourself back. So now we stop at the first video. The first Zoom ended after 14 minutes. Don't worry, the video is available. It was recorded. Anybody that missed the class, you will get the video, watch again. So you don't have to be bothered at all. Everything we did was covered. So now this one also is being recorded. Now, how web hosting works? This is how it works. I'm going to be very fast at this. We have what we call server storage. What is server storage? Server storage is this. When you create a website, you generate a file. When you create a website, a file is being generated. That file that is being generated is where all the tools you use in that website, that's where they are. Is that taken? So you must understand that very well. That's where all the tools you use in the site, that is where they are. Okay, so such files as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, in images, all the images you use, all the multimedia content you use. Please mute yourself, please. So all these things you use are all in a file. Now that file, these files need to be stored somewhere. Now, if you have the file on your system, you did not store that file somewhere, it doesn't still make any sense. In fact, somebody will see it and feel probably is a file that doesn't make any meaning. Whereas you are the one, you as the owner of the file, you know what the file stands for. Okay? You know what the file means. You know what the file means. You know that file means a whole lot of things to you. So on that note, because you want that, you want to save the file somewhere. Now there's what we call web hosting companies. Web hosting companies are companies that are responsible. They are responsible for helping you to host your website. Now the whole of that thing, all the content in your website is found inside the file. Let me show you something here. Let me try to show you something. Like the website, those people that joined in the first class, I was showing them some of the software I built last year rather. Now let me show them where the files, where all the files of those software is. Let me share my screen. Okay. Now I hope you can see what I'm showing you now. You get it now? See. Now this is, I will come here, open it. All these things, this is a file of all the software on my system. All these things are software, different software, and they are working. So if you see them like that, this one here is about what is it called? food ordering system. This one is about a booking, online booking software. Like hotel, you can book a hotel with this software. This one here is another this like this one here is a kind of online course software. This one here is a blog. If you want to build a blog, this one here you can see it, new site. You can see it now, new site. That is what this one is meant for. Okay, so all these things you see here, by the time I will pick this thing now, by the time I pick it and go and host it, you will see when I host it, it simply means I have put it inside a what? Inside a storage, and that storage is called server storage. That's what it means. So and I can only do that with the help of a hosting company. There are different hosting companies out there. There is GoDaddy, there is HostNow, there's We Host Africa, there's Whogohost, there is Namecheap, there is Bluehost, there is TrueHost, there is Host Now. They are much out there, and every day there is another one. .host. In fact, that's one of the ones I'm using now. I'm using currently the two hosting company I'm using is Whogohost and .host. Those are if I want to build a site for any client, those are the things the hosting company I use. I either use Whogohost or I use .host. So they are the one responsible taking the file. I will take the file. Once I purchase, I will not take that file of the site I built and put it inside there. They will store it for me. Once they store it for me, that site is no more on my system anymore. It will not be on the internet. So anybody anywhere in the world can search for that software using my domain name. Is that taken? So let's continue. I say web hosting company maintain powerful computer called server, which have large storage capacity. Server has a very large storage. Imagine all the server we have been using. People have been hosting websites for years. Even before we were born, people have been hosting websites. Yet the server has never gotten filled. Like the server is getting enlarged. Like the thing is enlarging on daily basis. So that's to tell you that it's a very large one. And computer called server. Now that server is a computer also, which have a large storage capacity. And when you sign up for a web hosting service, sign up means when you sign up and when you pay, when you purchase it, that's what they mean by signing up. It's not free. There are some that are free also. I will let you know as time goes on. So you are essentially renting space on one of these servers to store your website files. Yes, that's why I said hosting simply means ability for you to rent a place. I use the word land. When you host a website, it simply means it's just as if buying a portion of land to build your house. That's what hosting means. I've said this in a physical class on Thursday, and I'm repeating it here now. So, and the next one here is DNS. We have heard of this word. DNS simply means domain name system. Once your website file is hosted on a server, they need to be associated with a domain name. Once you host a website on a server, online server, definitely before people can have access to it, it is there already. You build a house on a land. Before people can get to know that that is your house, you need to give them an address. Hope somebody is getting me. You need to give them an address. Is that the address given to them is what they will use in finding you, in locating you. You bought a phone, fine and good. You have a phone. You register the SIM card. Good, congratulations. But before people can access you, before people can contact you, they need to have your phone contact, your phone number. Without them having your phone number, nobody will call you. That is just it. And you can never see a situation whereby phone number is repeated. One phone number, one person, more than one person is using one phone number. It can never happen. And that is how domain name is. More than one person can never use one domain name. It is only one company, one individual, one domain name, except you add something different. Let's say, for an example, your phone contact. Now, if you change just one number from your phone contact, you remove one number and change it to something else. Do you know that that number that one you change belong to somebody. If you call that number, it's somebody else will pick it. That is how it is. But that your exact one, you are the only one that is using that number, except you have quit using it for a very long time and they found out that that number has not been active. That is when the ISP, which is internet service provider, will get to what? Relocate, they will get to sell the number to somebody else. So now, once your website file is hosted on a server, they need to be associated with a domain name so that people can access your website using a human readable address, which is www, something like www.example.com is a domain name. So the domain name system translates domain name, translates this domain. DNS is a system that translates a domain name into an IP address. Please stop your video. It translates a domain name into an IP address. I've talked about this IP address the other time, and I don't want to repeat myself on that. If you watch the first video, I've explained IP address a lot. So if you did not join the first one, the video will be available. Watch it again, you will get it. So, which are numerical identifier assigned to each server on the internet. When someone type your domain name into the web server, the DNS server translate that domain name into the corresponding IP address of the server where your website is stored. So you can get it now. Let's see this. Look at this image. Let's use this image as a practical example. Now, this is it. This is how the whole thing happened. This thing you see here, this one here is called ITTP request. Okay, let me start from here. You can see the guy sitting on a table, just like the way I'm sitting now. I'm sitting on a table, on a chair, and having my laptop on the table. That's the same thing the guy is doing. That guy now is a user. He's trying to browse something on the internet, probably checking into a website or something. You get it now? What happens there is the fact that the guy there now is trying to browse something on the internet. With the help of that, as he's trying to browse something on the internet, what happens there? He type https :// and now put in the URL. That URL is the domain name. You now search the arrow there indicating that thing is search. Immediately it transmits a signal into the internet, and from internet the internet send it into the web server. That web server is where your website pages has been stored because of you've already bought hosting. So that is where your web pages have been stored. So once that request has been done, the next thing you can see the arrow telling you, navigating back, telling you that okay, in this case now, somebody press ogtech at ogtech.edu.com.ng. What happens there is the fact that the person requested for that web page. Now the internet, that thing will go to internet, and internet will send it to the web server. The web server now will now say, okay, this address is being requested for. Now the web server will not receive it as ogtech.edu.ng. It will receive it as an IP address. I've told you what an IP address looks like. It's going to receive it as an IP address, like a different number with the dot like that. Once he receives it, he says, okay, somebody is already searching for this page. Now you will now respond. You can see, look at the arrow showing HTTP response. It will respond back to the internet. The internet now will pick it up from there and show the web page to the person who is requesting for it. This is how this thing happened. And this thing you see happen within less than 30 seconds. The thing has taken place, but you don't know that thing you are browsing online, it took a lot of processes, a lot of steps, a lot of stages before the thing gets to you. Because it's very fast doesn't mean that there was no process. So the thing you are searching was not actually in your phone, it was on the internet, and inside the internet it was stored on a web server. Is that taken? That is how this thing works. So if you understand this thing very well, you get to know that once the internet is bad, you cannot access your web server, because your web server is the storage, is like a database where all your website pages has been stored. You get it now? So the internet is the middleman between you the user and your web server. So you must have a very good internet connection before your request can be sent to your web server. So lastly, for today's class, lastly, in conclusion, let's talk about this thing called customized email. Many of us have seen this kind of things. I know every one of us, before you are able to join this Zoom meeting, you must have a Gmail. Yes, either a Gmail or a Yahoo Mail, whichever they are called email, electronic mails. Now, most of us now, what we use, all of us rather, all what we use, we make use of, let's say for example, danielibet@gmail.com. Those things you are seeing at gmail.com, they are email. But when we talk about customized email will no longer have gmail.com. Okay. Now that gmail.com, it simply means that the you see your name, you see Daniel at gmail.com. That gmail.com is the email provider. That Gmail, the same way we have Daniel at yahoo.com. The yahoo.com is the email provider. Now that is for free. But when we talk about customized email, why do you need a customized email? A company, customized email, it is very official. It's for official purposes. Go and check very well. Companies, check organizations. They will never use something like gmail.com. They will use their own customized email. And how can you do that? You can do that by saying, you see something like support at gmail.com. That means your own website will come, your name, info at, then followed by your website, which is your domain name. This is what we call a customized email. But anything that has to do with gmail.com, it is not a customized email. A customized email will have your domain name attached to whatever. It's going to be admin at dantechdigital.com. You can see how it sounds. It's not admin at gmail.com. No, it is dantechdigital.com or your domain name.com. So that is how this thing, and this is good for official purposes. If you create a website for official purposes, this is good. And in this class, I'm going to be showing you how to create all these things, how to purchase a website, how to purchase a hosting, how to decide on different hosting plan, how to know the best hosting company to go for, how to buy a domain name, how to create a subdomain, how to create this kind of customized email. Those are part of what you're going to be learning in this class. Okay, so that will be the end of today. And before we wrap it up, if you have any question, you can ask your question now. We have less than let's say like 5 minutes to ask and answer any question. So go ahead now and ask your question. You can unmute yourself and ask your
question. Hello. Okay, sir, I have a question, sir.
What is your question?
Where can we get a place to find our customized Gmail, which is that at gmail.com? Where exactly can we get a place? Okay. Like which website can we get a place?
Okay, now
for your
okay, good question. Now, when your customized email is not something you can get online. You can't just go online and say, I want to buy customized email. No, it is customized emails is free. To be honest, it is free. It is free if you don't know. It's free. But the thing is that it is only gotten when you purchase hosting and domain. Let me show you something here. I think it's high time I just show you that. Let me show you something. Under this, where is my, oh my god, Whogohost. I think I should use this. Let me show you. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay, now look at this now. Hosting. Let's say for an example, I'm going for dantechdigital.com. Now, very soon I'm going to purchase this. I'm going to, of course, purchase it. I think it's still available. I've checked it. Last time I checked, it was available. I'm going to purchase it for myself. Though I have a domain name before, but it happens that because of the name, I made a change of name. You can see now, dantechdigital.com.ng is available. So you can see that now. So here now, if I want to purchase this, let me change. That place is too dark. I don't like it. So let's say web host. Or Whogohost hosting plan. So I want to show you, once you buy hosting and domain, okay, once you buy hosting and domain from any hosting company, part of the package they will give you is that they will tell you, they will give you unlimited email. So when you see something like unlimited email, now this is what I'm showing, this is what I'm saying here. Look at it here. This is cPanel hosting, WordPress hosting, email hosting. Now this is email hosting. You can host this way, you can buy this way, but then the best is just buy a plan. Once you buy a plan, you're able to buy a plan, a domain and a hosting. You get it now. You'll be able to create multiple email as you like, because they will give you unlimited email. So, and where you can do that thing, to answer your question completely, you can do it. There's what we call cPanel. Okay, cPanel is your engine. It's your backend. Your backend. You are the only one saying that. That's where you control so many things. Now, let's say for an example, I want to go for this. This is available. Let's say I want to buy it now. I will say add to cart. So it will say continue. You get it now. So you see what they will tell me now. They will tell me that I should you can see now, they will tell me no hosting, click to add hosting. They are trying to market their product to me. They know what they are doing, and it's not by force. So if it is that I don't want I don't want hosting from them, because it's possible for you to get hosting domain a different place, hosting different place, but you now merge them together. But meanwhile, wherever you are getting your hosting, that is where you will that is your major house. You can buy domain anywhere at all, any hosting company. Then wherever you are getting the hosting itself, you will now pick the domain and go and link it to that one. I will show you how to do all these things. That's simple, but because you don't know them, it looks as they are difficult. Okay, so if I add this hosting now, I want to add hosting. You will see different hosting plan they will give us. So this is it here now. You can see, look down here, you will see unlimited email. See, hope you can see it. Unlimited email. That is what they mean. This unlimited email, it means customized email. So these are the package. In this package now, monthly you will pay 1,005, and this is the storage, the capacity of what this one can do. And we have another one here. This one here is 2,200 monthly, and you can see 12 gig web space, 45 gig bandwidth, 15 subdomain. You can see it now. 3 add-on domain, free.com, free.ng. You can see free SSL certificate, unlimited email, unlimited database. So those are the things this amount will come with. So I believe I've answered your question now. So that's for that. Who has another question? Another question. Justice John, any question? And Angel, any question? Ask your question now. Ask your question before we wrap it up. All right. So since no other question, I think everything is clear to us. Thank you very much for joining. And our next physical class will be on Monday. Yes, in the evening, physical class for physical students. Now, the online student is going to be Monday night. It's going to be Monday night. Yes, I will communicate to you guys the time, Monday night. So we proceed further from here. Meanwhile, I will also advise the physical student can also join the online, just like some of you guys joining here now are also physical students. Okay, join. There's no knowledge is waste. Okay, you learn here, you learn there. So thank you very much for joining, and see you on Monday for physical class. Bye.